Afternoon, everyone. Last class, we started discussing about signal conditioning. We saw what is the role of signal conditioning in mechatronic system functioning. As we discussed, the signals from the sensors and transducers, when these are to be sent to the actuator, before sending them to actuator, these signals need to be processed because these signals are normally weak. These signals contain some noise elements. So we need to modify these signals so that this conditioned signal can be used for actuation purposes. Okay, so we had identified a few application areas or the functional areas of your signal conditioning devices. What they do amplification work, they do filtering work, they can reduce noise effect, they can attenuate the signal. The signal conditioning devices can convert analog signal into digital signal, or they can convert digital signal into analog signal. We can carry out multiplexing if I got number of sensors, and if all the sensor inputs are to be processed by a controller, how these multiple sensor inputs can be given to my controller. Now, where will be the situation where I'll have multiple inputs? We will take the case of familiar case of let us say washing machine. I want to control the washing machine parameters. So what are the parameters? I want to maintain temperature of water that is being used for washing. I want to maintain concentration of the detergent that is to be used. I want to control the torque with which the twisting of the clothes is done. So like that, I want to control the pH of water, right? So likewise, 3-4 different parameters related to my washing cycle, I want to control simultaneously. So each sensor, temperature sensor will send the signal related to temperature. The concentration sensor will send the signal related to concentration. The torque sensor or torque transducer will send a signal corresponding to torque. And the pH sensor will send the signal related to pH, and it will send through the transducer. Now these four transducer or sensor inputs are to be sent to a processor. Now while sending them, we use something called as a multiplexer. So multiplexers are used for dealing with multiple inputs simultaneously in real time. So those multiplexers also play important role in signal conditioning. And as I said, some signals are analog signal, like a thermocouple gives me analog voltage. Now that can be converted into digital signal by using ADC. We took the case of a photoelectric pickup, which gives me digital output, and that digital output needs to be, let us say, converted to analog signal. So D2A converter will convert. So my signal conditioning devices will convert the signal received from my sensor transducer appropriately, so that it can be given either to display unit, or it can be given to controller, it can be given to actuator, as the case may be. So we are going to study few amplifiers. We'll be studying few filters. We'll be studying some isolators. We'll study some ADCs. We'll study some DACs. So to begin with, we have the operational amplifier. Probably in first year or second year, we must have had some glimpse of this op-amp or operational amplifier. Now this is an analog device. Now this analog amplification work this operational amplifier does. Now what are the typical characteristics of this op-amp or operational amplifier? Now an operational amplifier is a very important element in signal conditioning system. As you can see on the slide, it is abbreviated as op-amp. Op-amp is a high gain voltage amplifier with a differential input. It's a high gain. So this amplifier gain is to the tune of 1 lakh or above. So the ratio of resistances, let us say, can be maintained in such a way that if I am giving the input voltage, suppose I have generated, the thermocouple has generated voltage of 1 microvolt. 1 microvolt. Now that is to be amplified. So this op-amp can amplify that 1 microvolt. So 1 microvolt is nothing but 1 into 10 to the power minus 6 of volt. It can amplify it to 1 volt, 10 to the power 6 times. So this is such a high gain these op-amps have. And these op-amps have very high input impedance as well. So they literally don't consume any current. See, any measuring instrument, any conditioning equipment, many a times they require some power for its operation. But op-amp is typically consuming very less power. So this is the biggest advantage of op-amp as an amplifier. The gain is of the order of 1 lakh or more. If we see the figure, it has got 5 terminals. 2 voltages are applied at 2 terminals. So this is a typical pin diagram. Let us say this is the op-amp. This is a symbol of op-amp, operational amplifier. Left hand side is the input side and right hand side is the output side. For its operation, we need to maintain some, it is called as plus Vs or minus Vs and minus Vs. It is also called as VCC plus VCC and minus VCC. For its operation, this voltage needs to be applied. So on the left hand side, I can give either non-inverting input, I can give inverting input. Now what is the meaning of this non-inverting and inverting input? Inverting means it will be, its sign will be changed, plainly speaking, or the input will be out of phase by 180 degrees. Okay, so this inversion it can do or it cannot do, it will not do any inversion of the applied voltage as such. It depends on what need we have. If I want the sign of my input voltage to be changed, I provide input through my inverting input terminal. So these are the terminals. It will be a small chip. So it will have, though I have shown 5 terminals here, it will have 8 pins normally. So these will be a few of the pins. At these pin configurations for different ICs will differ. So I'll be having pins for providing inverting input. These are called as minus V input voltage and plus V, that is non-inverting input. I have the provision for VCC, plus VCC, minus VCC, or plus VS and minus VS. And at the output end, I can have one terminal from where I can take out the output voltage. Now what this op-amp does, it receives the signal in the form of a voltage, it amplifies it minimum 10 to the power 6 times and gives it as an output. Now this I can use, modify further suitably for my actuation, for my display, or for the data processing, whatever is my requirement. So this is in general the structure or construction of pin diagram, so to say, operational amplifier. In general, op-amp amplifies the difference between input voltage, these are the input voltage, plus V and minus V. The output of an operational amplifier can be written as V output is equal to G times V input, that is plus V and minus V. So straightway this op-amp can act as a subtractor. If I want to subtract 2 quantities, those quantities, I need to convert those 2 quantities into appropriate voltages. And I give these voltages as minus V and I can give it as plus V. Now what the op-amp does, it gives me the subtraction of these 2 voltages with some amplification. Now what is this amplification? This gain can always be adjusted. Okay, so whatever multiplying factor I want and whatever subtraction I want, I can do provided the signal is converted into appropriate voltage signal. So two voltages are applied at two input terminals, the output terminal provides the amplified value of the difference between two input voltages. Op-amp works by using the external power supplied at Vs plus and Vs minus, or VCC plus VCC and minus VCC. So this is how your operational amplifier can be used as an amplifier with very high gain and with little power consumption. Well, these op-amps can be configured, can be used in many different ways. It can be used as an amplifier stateway, simple first application. It can be used as amplifier in two different modes. It can be used in the inverting amplifier mode. That means whatever amplification I am going to do for the input voltage, its sign will be changed, or its phase, it will be out of phase, the output will be out of phase by 180 degree. So I can invert the applied voltage, or this amplifier can also be used as non-inverting amplifier. If I don't want the sign to be changed of the input voltage, if I don't want the phase to be changed, so this op-amp can also be used as non-inverting amplifier. First of all, we'll see the inverting amplifier. For this, better book I feel is Bolton book. You refer. Soft copies are available on the net, on PDF drive. Also, these soft copies are available. You can just download and go through these details. It is given in very precise manner. I have taken out some figures from Bolton. So this is my op-amp. Though I have not shown the VCC plus and VCC minus, that will always be there. So I have got two input terminals, minus V terminal and plus V terminal, and I have got one output terminal, that is V out, and I have got one input terminal. So it is inverting amplifier. That means what? Whatever input voltage I am applying, I want that to be amplified one and that to be inverted, its sign to be changed or its phase to be changed. So let us see how is the working of this inverting amplifier and how the analysis briefly. We are not interested much in the electronic details as such, but these basic things we need to know. I would suggest take a piece of paper instead of just observing and listening. Take a piece of paper, draw this diagram. It's a simple diagram. This triangle, input V in, and this is two inputs I give to the op-amp, minus V and plus V. This plus V is grounded. Okay, this V output at one end also it is grounded. What else you can see? At the input V input, I provide one R1 resistance R1, and I take a feedback from output and I provide one resistor R2, which is connected to the V in at, let us call this junction as X or A, whatever it is. Now, let us see. Now, when the voltage, input voltage is applied to this op-amp. Now, what I said, op-amp is a high impedance device. High impedance म्हणजे काय? त्याच्यातनं current flow व्हायला खूप अडथळे येऊ शकतात. Okay. Impedance म्हणजे resistance. Indirectly, it is resisting the flow of current. So it's a high impedance device, high gain device, isn't it? So what happens? The current I1 is flowing through R1. Now because it has got a high impedance at this end, so what will happen? The same current I1 will pass through this R2 also. So if I try to measure voltage at X, Vx, it will be almost zero voltage, because there is no resistance in the path in between. Okay, so Vxx will be zero. So this is also called as virtual earth of this op-amp. Okay, so on the input side I have got R1, and on the output side I have got feedback resistor R2. And what I said, I1 is flowing through R1, isn't it? And the same I1 is flowing through R2 also. Now let us try to do the circuit analysis a bit. Let us consider this loop, only this part of the loop. This I1 is flowing through R1. What is the applied voltage? V. Okay. So what is the drop in voltage? Okay. What is Kirchhoff's voltage law says? Just try to recollect. The sum of individual potential drops. The sum of individual potential drops or voltage drops across each of the components is equal to supply voltage. Right? I repeat, the sum of all voltage drops across the components in a circuit is equal to total voltage drop or the supply voltage. Now, in this loop, just try to focus on this. In this loop, only supply voltage is one thing. So V in will be equal to, supply voltage will be equal to individual potential drops. Now, how many components are there? There is only one component R1, and this is a high impedance device. So there is no potential drop across this device. So I got potential drop across R1 alone. So V in will be equal to I1 R1 will be my first equation. Okay. Now let us see the other part now. V out is my output voltage, and let us say at X I got voltage Vx, which is 0, we already said. So the potential drop across R2 will be equal to Vx minus V out, isn't it? Vx minus V out will be the potential drop across R2, which will be equal to, what is the current that is flowing through R2? I1. So Vx minus V naught or V out will be equal to I1 R2. This will be my second equation. First equation is V in is equal to I1 into R1, and second equation will be Vx minus V out will be equal to I1 into R2. But what is Vx we said? Because I have got high impedance device in the path, Vx is almost 0. So if Vx is 0, what is Vx minus V out? As Vx is 0, on the left hand side I will have only minus V out. So on the left hand side I have got minus V out is equal to I into R2. Isn't it? So I got these two equations. If I solve these two equations for I1, and then if I establish a relationship between V out and V in, I'll get minus R2 by R1. How? Let us see that. Better we note down. We have the slides, but let us write the things so that the things will be clear. Input is taken to the inverting input through resistance R1. Input is taken inside the op amp through the resistance R1. Non-inverting input is grounded. So what is this non-inverting input? Grounded. What is the see? This is the inverting input of the op amp, and this is the non-inverting. The plus sign says non-inverting. So non-inverting input of the op amp is grounded, isn't it? The non-inverting input is grounded, and what is happening to inverting input? Input is taken to the inverting input through resistance R1. Input is taken, Vin is taken through resistance R1 to inverting input. A feedback path is provided from output through resistance R2 to the inverting input. This is the feedback. This is the feedback through R2. It is taken to inverting input. For an ideal operational amplifier with infinite gain means what? Very high gain. We just now discussed Vx is equal to 0 because there is large impedance or resistance to the flow to the current. So there is no potential available at Vx at X, that is Vx is 0. Hence V in, the first equation that we wrote, V in is equal to I1 into R1. This is my equation number 1. Okay. The second part, because of very high input impedance of op amp, some current, the same current I1 flows through R2 also. Because high impedance, whatever current I1 is there, the same current I1 will flow through R2 also. Potential difference across R2 is Vx minus V out. What is the output voltage? V out. Vx minus V out. But Vx is equal to 0. Just now we established. because there is high impedance in the path. Therefore, this Vx will be 0 minus V out will be equal to minus V out will be equal to I1 into R2. This is my equation number 2. Divide 2 by 1 so that I can eliminate I1. What happens? V2 by V out by Vn. V out by Vn. This I1 gets cancelled. I got minus sign I have taken on the right hand side, minus R2 by R1. Equation 3 gives voltage gain of the circuit. So this inverting amplifier provides me amplified voltage at the output. So whatever sensor transmission signal I am going to get in the form of some Vn, very small voltage. If I select the resistance so that I can adjust my gain, this gain can always be adjusted. This input voltage can be amplified to a very high value of output. Okay, so this is the use of inverting amplifier. Same way, non-inverting amplifier, only thing is that I need to provide input through my plus V terminal in non-inverting type amplifier. We'll not get into details because we have to study 6 different varieties of signal conditioning. We'll just see the major op-amp configurations. This is the inverting amplifier we have studied. We'll study summing amplifier. Okay. Thereafter, we'll study integrating amplifier. We'll study differentiating amplifier. Or op-amp as differentiator, op-amp as integrator, op-amp as summer, op-amp as inverter. These 4 applications we are going to study related to op-amp. So, moving further, second application of op-amp, that is summing amplifier. As you can see, once again, this is my op-amp. Well, pointer. So this is my amplifier minus V plus V. This is the inverting terminal of op-amp, non-inverting terminal of op-amp. So I have got to the inverting terminal, I am supplying 3 different voltages. See, my objective is to use op-amp as a summing amplifier. I want to sum 3 voltages which are given as the input. I want to condition that signal. I want to get the summation of all these 3 input signals which are provided in the form of voltages. I'll do the summation of all those input signals. Remember, these voltages correspond to some transducer output. The transducer is generating the voltages, and those voltages are supplied at 3 different locations, and these 3 are fed to the inverting terminal of my op-amp, and the non-inverting terminal is grounded. Output terminal other end is also grounded. I have provided one feedback resistor as R2. Okay, so I got 3 voltages V1, V2, V3, right? Or VA, VB, and VC through resistance RA, RB, and RC, isn't it? So the current flowing through this resistor RA will be whatever is VA upon RA, because V is equal to IR. So I is equal to V by R. So IA will be equal to supply voltage VA upon RA. IB will be equal to supply voltage VB upon RB, and IC will be equal to supply voltage VC upon RC. So these currents IA, IB, and IC will be entering into the inverting terminal. Let us call this current as I. Now what Kirchhoff's current law says? What Kirchhoff's current law says? Sum of all incoming currents, sum of all incoming currents is equal to sum of all outgoing currents. Kirchhoff's current law, sum of all incoming currents is equal to sum of all outgoing currents. Now what are the incoming currents at this junction? IA, IB, and IC. What is the outgoing current? Simply I. Now the same I. So I, as per KCL, Kirchhoff's current law, I will be equal to IA plus IB plus IC. And what is IA, IB, IC? IA is VA by RA, IB is VB by RB, and IC is VC by RC. So I got I that is coming out, and once again, this I, this current I, is coming to the inverting terminal, and as this op amp has got very high impedance, the same current I will be flowing through my resistor, feedback resistors R2 also. So I got two circuits now. I will be equal to IA plus IB plus IC. I will be equal to IA plus IB plus IC. That is equal to, we'll substitute for IA, IB and IC. That is equal to, so I is equal to VA upon RA plus VB upon RB. Better you take pen and paper and note down. We'll do the derivation, but simple. And IC is VC upon IC, isn't it? VC upon RC. So this is equal to I. This is one equation, and the same I is flowing through R2 also. So once again, minus V out, Vx minus V out, as Vx is 0 because of high impedance. So minus V out will be equal to I into R2. These two equations, if I equate, I'll get equation for summing amplifier. You need to study, we need to read, we have to be attentive, friends, and we need to start making notes as well. Okay, whatever I talk, just put it here. Keep your sketch in front of your eyes. This sketch, I hope you have drawn this sketch. Left hand side of the circuit, I is equal to IA plus IB plus IC, as we already see. But IA is equal to VA upon RA, IB is equal to VB upon RB, and IC is equal to VC upon RC. This we already seen, because V, as per Kirchhoff's voltage law, V is equal to IR, right? Potential drop across resistance RA is equal to VA is equal to IA into RA. So this is how we have got these equations. Also, we must have the same current I passing through the feedback resistor. Because of high impedance of op amp, the potential difference across R2 is Vx minus Vout. And since Vx can be assumed to be 0, I got, instead of Vx, I got 0 minus Vout, and so Vout upon R2, or Vout minus Vout will be equal to I into R2. Minus Vout is equal to I into R2, or I is equal to minus Vout upon R2. So I'm equating these two equations now. So same current I. So this is for I, this is solved for I, and this equation can also be solved for I. So I common. So equating these two equations, so to say. So for this I have got minus Vout by R2 will be equal to, for this I is equal to, for I have got VA upon RA plus IB I have got VB upon RB, for IC I have got VC upon RC. So the output is thus the scaled sum of inputs. Scaled sum of inputs. So what is it? Taking this R2 on right hand side, it will be getting multiplied with each term. So output I'll be taking which sign? Minus R2 I'll be taking on right hand side. So V out will be equal to minus sign from left hand side taken on the right hand side. R2. So this R2 taken on right hand side, and as R2 is taken, so minus sign taken common. So it will be R2 upon RA into VA plus this R2 upon RB into VB plus R2 upon RC into VC. If I maintain, because I am selecting RA, RB, and RC, I am selecting. I don't have control over VA, VB and VC, but I have control over RA, RB and RC. I can select RA is equal to RB is equal to RC is equal to R or R1, whatever it is. Then what will happen? This RA, RB and RC will be equal to R1. So R2 by R1 is taken out. V out is equal to minus sign is taken common and R2 by R1 also taken common is equal to VA plus VB plus VC. Now this R2 by R1 is called as scale factor. So what my op-amp is doing now? Op-amp is receiving inputs VA, VB and VC coming from 3 different transducers. It is adding those voltages and multiplying with some gain, which I can decide how much is the gain that I want, and it will give the output as V out. So thus this op-amp can be used as a summing amplifier, and these are, remember friends, these are practically used in many mechatronic applications. I think we'll stop for today.